The impossible dream of every 80s child, a game and watch with a game that's not terrible and annoying, and it's being reviewed by Sharopolis. What more could you ask for? Probably many things, but if you've got low expectations, this could be all you ever wished for. Yes, the game and watch is back again in the 21st century, this time with Zelda, and you know what? I absolutely love this thing. So let's get to reviewing it, shall we? And we'll have a look at the box. It does have one, and like the last Game & Watch, it's cardboard with a plastic slipcase. And on the back, well, this is where things get more interesting, for me at least. What's on here? Well, at least 6 things in total, but the main event has to be the 3 Zelda games. Yes, 3. When I bought this, I was under the impression that it was just Zelda 1 and 2, but no, it's got the amazing addition of Link's Awakening as well, which really makes this special, but more on that shortly. But anyway, once again, like the last Game & Watch box, the slipcase comes off to reveal the box underneath, reminiscent of the original minimalist Game & Watch line. Very nice, and it lets you know the level of attention to detail that's gone into this. So this is the thing itself, not a major surprise after the last iteration, but it looks superb, exactly as you would expect it to really. Let's switch it on and get to what this has to be all about really, the games. So we've got the original Legend of Zelda to start with in English, but also the Japanese version. This doesn't seem to emulate the Famicom disk system, unfortunately. It's just the Japanese cartridge version, and there's probably no reason why you'd want to play this over the English version unless your first language is Japanese. But moving on, we also have the unsurprising edition of Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, one of the more divisive entries in the series, and the pick of the 3 in my estimation, and I'm probably not the only one. A fantastic game. It's Link's Awakening, the original monochrome Game Boy game, in English, French, German and Japanese once again. We've also got Vermin Link Edition, the reskin of the classic Game & Watch game, and The Timer, both of which I'll show you later on. Okay then, let's have a look at Zelda, the original, shall we, the classic that started it all, and I've got to say it does actually look better than this in real life. I really struggled to get any decent looking footage of the screen in action, but suffice to say it does look pretty good. It's not any top end OLED, but it's pretty serviceable for what it is. Bright and sharp, and well, I don't know if it's accurate, but it's got attractive colour reproduction and a reasonable viewing angle. You don't really need to see these games in action, you know what they look like already, don't you? The only real problem with this screen is it is quite small, particularly for the NES games, which were never optimised for a display this tiny. Even if you've got pretty good vision, some of this text is very small. So yes, the original Zelda, maybe it shows its age, probably less than nearly any other 8-bit game from 1986, but still, it's of its time. If you want to replay this game, or even if you've never gone back this far in the Zelda canon, and you want to try it out for the first time, this isn't a bad way of doing it. That's something you could also say about Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, though maybe with a bit more trepidation. Is this a good game? Well, it depends on who you ask, but it's definitely a departure from everything else in the Zelda series with its heavy focus on side-scrolling and massively different mechanics. It's obvious why this was included though, whatever you think about it, it's hard to dispute its classic status. It's a little strange, or actually it's a lot strange for a Zelda game. I mean, you could love all things Zelda and still hate this because it's so different. But hey, it's part of Nintendo history, and that's kind of what this whole thing is about. But here we have Link's Awakening, the deal sealer surely in this little handheld. Undeniably one of the absolute top tier 2D Zeldas, the 4th in the series, coming out after A Link to the Past and beloved by many with good reason because it's a great game. It looks just fine here in its original monochrome Game Boy guise, and actually it's a good opportunity to take a quick look at the options here on the pause menu. As well as the ability to reset the game, we've also got the obvious brightness and volume, which do exactly what you'd expect them to. But also in this game, and this one only, we can select screen size, choosing between full and original. You can go with the Game Boy's original aspect ratio, leaving the graphics unmolested, or you can go into full mode and make things a little wider to fill up the whole frame. It actually looks okay in full mode, but you have to ask yourself, can you really be one of those people? Yes, those people who don't understand aspect ratios and watch everything in wide stretch mode. Maybe you should stick with the original aspect ratio, or maybe you're just less militant about this sort of thing than I am. But however you choose to view this, it's a great game. It's not that much newer than either of the other two Zelda games on here. It's still a game from an 8-bit system, but it feels like something from a different generation. Even the 2019 remake didn't change all that much from the original, really. Yeah, Nintendo absolutely nailed it with this one, and well, this little handheld is a fun way of reliving this game, no doubt. What else have we got? Well, there's Vermin, Link version, the slight reimagining of the very, very old school Game & Watch game, this time featuring Link. Yeah, again, it's sort of obvious why this is here, a nice nod to Nintendo's gaming origins, but how much time anyone is going to spend on this in 2021, I don't know, but it's another obvious part of the package. There's also the timer mode, which, well, it acts as a timer. You can actually set it to whatever and it will count down and you can rejoice when the timer goes off. But also you can play it as a sort of score attack and try and rack up as many points as you can. Not the most thrilling thing in gaming, but it's a nice idea. But I suppose this leads us on to this system's kind of possible rough spots, the whole watch part of the Game & Watch. Yes, it tells the time when you press the button, it's even interactive, but you still can't really use this as a clock like you could with the old school Game & Watch systems. There's still no kickstand in this one, and even if there was, the screen goes into sleep mode after a couple of minutes anyway. The batteries just aren't up for that kind of use. The unit itself though is really, really nice. It's not massively expensive of course, but it doesn't feel cheap. And I'm not sure what else there is to talk about outside of the controls. It does have a USB 3 slot for charging, essential these days, and the on and off switch here on the side. The only other thing to look at on the sides is this speaker slot. Yeah, there's no headphone jack and no way of attaching any without mods. How much of a problem that is will be up to you, but the speaker, it does sound pretty decent. Let's have a quick look at what's in the box. Apart from the usual thrilling manual of many languages, there's no AC adapter. Not a surprise these days though, there is a USB 3 cable which seems to be decent quality. There's also a bit of a trick here because the cardboard insert does act as a stand of sorts with some assembly. It's not especially complicated to put together, but it is going to require some care to get this done without ripping anything. Yeah, and here it is. It looks quite nice, doesn't it? And as a freebie edition, it's not bad, but obviously not as good as anything not made out of cardboard. Also, there's no way of turning the unit on without taking it out of the cardboard. It would have been nice if you could have just hit the button to see the time, but you can't. What else should I discuss? Well, the controls are up to Nintendo's usual standards. They feel pretty good, the D-pad is nice and the buttons work fine. The only issue you might have with them is they are a tad small compared to this SNES pad, which isn't an original one but it is the exact same size. You can see they are a bit smaller and the buttons are rubber, not plastic. But it's authentic to the Game & Watch and I found them totally usable. The other comparison to make would be with the last Game & Watch, the Mario one, and yeah, they're basically identical in form factor apart from the addition of the select and start buttons. From what I hear, they are pretty much identical inside too, the same system on a chip powering them both, although Zelda apparently has a larger flash memory that might come in useful. Maybe it's my imagination, but the Zelda unit does feel ever so slightly heavier. I actually weighed them and it's 2 grams more. Oh yes, this is the info you came here for. Why is it heavier? I don't know, unless it's the other useless but lovely feature which will be revealed through the magic of auto exposure when I turn the light off. Yes, it's got a glowing Triforce on the back side. Yes, something you never knew you wanted till you saw it in the flesh. It is just the backlight of the screen, I think, shining through a sort of plastic lens assembly. It's not actually magic, but it does look pretty nice. And final conclusion, well, I love this, I really do. It was never going to be a hard sell for me, but it meets all my expectations. The battery life is good, the screen looks good, it does just what you would hope it to. Overall, would I recommend this? Yes, of course. It's essential if you're a fan of classic Zelda or just a fan of the Game & Watch. In fact, it's so good I kind of hate it. Why? Well, number one, Nintendo have managed to make me buy another piece of plastic, and Link's Awakening again if you want to get to it. But also, I wish there was more. This thing is such a fantastic little console, better than so many of those other retro portables. I wish Nintendo would do with this more with this sort of form factor. Will there be others in the future? Probably. Metroid would be a good bet, wouldn't it? But who knows? Can you hack this thing? Well, yes, it looks like you can, but probably like the Super Mario Game & Watch, you're going to have to open it up to flash the firmware. Not a problem for a lot of people I know, but a pain in the arse for many. That said, if you do want to go down this road, the extra buttons and the larger flash will make it even better. So there you go, this thing gets my hearty recommendation for what it's worth. Go buy it if you fancy it. They don't seem to be in any sort of short supply. Thanks so much to my wonderful Patreons. Here they are. If you'd like to join them, that would be great. There's a link below, and I'll say thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, folks.